so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life? Well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take about a minute and a half to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm sincerely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and grandest version of themselves. So if you've been looking for a way to easily get organic superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, like I was doing before I found Purium, I highly recommend going to positivehead.com/transformation and checking out the videos and interviews there where I dive deeply into discussions explaining why I take these products every day. And should you ultimately end up on iShopPurium.com to purchase any of their 50 plus amazing superfood products, be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for a 25% discount. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we go again. It is a magical Monday here in the studio. Grateful to be back with you all again, as always. And it's been an intense few days around here. We had the full blood moon eclipse yesterday, and all about releasing old patterns and completions, endings, a new celestial cycle, and had some interesting things regarding that some synchronicities and whatnots that I'll share here in a minute. But before I do, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love receiving these reviews from you. They not only help to fuel my fire to continue this labor of love, but they also help us to reach new people. So if you haven't reviewed, would love it if you did. Would love it if you don't. We'll still love you if you don't. I might not love it if you don't, but I'll still love you if you don't. And this one came in by B. Hayes. And B said, do yourself a favor. Give Positive Head a listen. I've been listening to Positive Head. I've been listening to Positive Head off and on for about a year now. I introduced my sister and she loves, in capital, the podcast. She gets all of these amazing synchronicities and her vibration is truly being elevated. However, despite showing countless others the podcast, I still struggled with my own ego and resistance to change. I wasn't receiving any synchronicities, and I didn't feel very elevated myself. I stopped listening for a while, thinking I was wasting my time or something. This is when I started struggling more with horrible, negative self-talk. My anxiety was up the wall. I felt so angry at myself and others, and I couldn't stop feeling sad. Fortunately, there was a break in my gloominess. I took a chance and listened to episode 816, It's All Okay. And wow, I can't even put into words what clicked inside of me. I've heard that it will be okay so many times, but it felt like the first time I was actually hearing it. Since, I've been getting crazy synchronicities, especially around Ayla Nereo and It's Okay. I guess a song of hers. I don't recall the title, but I love Ayla Nereo's music. Anyway, back to this. I feel so much love. I cannot believe I let myself lose sight of this infinite love that the universe has for me. I'm so grateful for Brandon and the whole community of P-Heads who are here offering love and support to all humans. With all of my love, Brittany. Oh, thank you, Brittany, for not only taking the time to review, but sharing your vulnerability and story with us. And for those of you who don't know, the community she's referencing is the Positive Heads Facebook group, where you can connect with other listeners. And it's a wonderful, wonderful, bright beacon of juicy goodness on the interwebs. And we'd love to see you there. If you haven't joined us already, just go and request the Positive Heads with an S Facebook group. So just to speak to this for a minute, it truly is the case that we evolve and grow in a spiral, right? We circle back around on things that maybe we thought we'd worked through and, take 2 steps forward and 1 step back sometimes, as I like to put it. And that's the process. Anais Nin said, we do not grow absolutely chronologically. We grow sometimes in one dimension and not in another, unevenly. We grow partially. We are relative. We are mature in one realm, childish in another. The past, present, and future mingle and pull us backward, forward, or fix us in the present. We are made up of layers, cells, constellations. And that is so amazingly said right there. And so when you realize, it's okay that you're going to have moments where you feel like, wow, I'm on the top of the world. I really get it. I'm really grounding this stuff in. I'm on a fly high in disc. And then next thing you know, it's like old patterns come back up and, things come back for further release. As I often say, we're like layers to an onion. And so I think that's a really important thing to know about yourself as you are going on this journey. And if you backslide, if you will, not something to beat yourself up about. It's, because in the end, you can't, if you look at like a chart where, if you looked at Apple's stock chart over the years, you just see it, starting somewhere. It might go up, it might come down, it might go up, it might come down, but over time, it's been going up. And that's sort of what we're doing. So when you can understand that, it helps to, go easy on yourself with this cycle, this way that we grow and expand, and understanding there's a lot of complexity and a lot of layers to who and what you are that we're not even fully aware of. Right. So, anyway, that's was a beautiful review, and I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to do so, and continue on and on and on. You got this. And so now what I'd like to do is change gears here for a minute and talk about some interesting things that sort of popped up for me, and it led to some of what we're going to talk about today, which is intimacy and deconstructing thoughts and letting go of past relationships. So for me, I have, it's been, it's almost 3 years since my last very significant, partnership. And that lasted 2.5 years, and came back to back with another one that was 1.5 years. So I was in a lot of relationships, in that cycle. In the last almost 3 years, I haven't had a significant partnership like that. And, but my former partner, she's actually, on maybe, I don't know, half a dozen or so of the early episodes. She would come on and read some of her writing, and, we'd talk. And if you go back into the archives, or some of you have been around a while, probably remember hearing her. Anyway, interesting, for me, something that's been popping up in the last month is I kept having dreams. She would be in my dream. And I had 3 dreams within the last month about her. And I don't always remember my dreams. Certainly don't dream a whole lot about people in my life, or, people in my past in this case, because she's not really active in my life at this point. We've talked occasionally here and there, but certainly not much. And And so, she popped up three dreams within a month. And then I all of a sudden found like these little beads of hers kept appearing over the years, the last couple of years, every now and then, like from, I think, a Burning Man outfit she made or something. They would just pop up on my floor, like these little kind of shimmery bead type things, or something that you would use making clothes. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And she hasn't been here for years, but I remember these little things when she was making it all those years ago. And one of those popped up. I saw the neighbors not too long ago. The neighbors had a child, and they had the little stork on the sign in their backyard, and it was born on her birthday. Just a bunch of things, like a Christmas pig that I'd given her years ago. The neighbor across the street had that glowing on their front porch. It's like it just kept coming up and up and up. So I reached out to her. We talked a little bit just to, hey, is everything good with you? You've been popping up a lot. And so what was kind of interesting that took place last week. So I did a Soul Share recording that you guys will hear in a couple weeks with a guy who invented something called energetic NLP, and he does these contract clearing. He basically looks at, and you'll hear us do it in the episode when it's released, where he does this thing where he basically has you get together with your higher self, or in miraculous self, as he calls it, and you'll hear him explain what that is, during the interview. But and looks at all of your contracts, your past contracts, or the ones that you came into this life with. Well, you make contracts before you come in, but you also have the option to change them once you're here and rewrite them. Or there's some that you've already fulfilled, but you're still like kind of repeating for some reason or another. So, first I was having all these dreams and all these kind of synchronicities around her. Then all of a sudden, I did this contract clearing, rewriting contracts, and I definitely had I definitely feel like there's timelines where we worked it out, and ended up, staying together or what have you. And so I sort of did this rewriting of any contracts and clearing of old contracts and things like that. And it was wild, like right afterwards, within an hour of that happening, one of her old, a bong that she owned, a little pink bong that was like, for smoking cannabis, has been on the shelf. She just left it here when she moved out years ago, and it was on this top shelf, and, it's not really ever used. I don't partake in that too much or use the device, but it was here in the studio. And I just happened to walk by and just run into this bookshelf that it was on, and it came crashing down and shattered everywhere. And so to me, that seemed like very kind of symbolic, right? I'd just done this clearing of old contracts. And so, I went maybe 2 days later and looked and noticed at the same time that was happening, I'm doing this contract clearing, and then this thing shattered, and she just went public with her first relationship since us. So it was obviously the ending, and then that was yesterday, and then that was hours later, I'm standing out with a group of people at a get together at a gathering, and we're staring up at this full blood moon eclipse, which is all about releasing, evolving past old patterns or completions and endings, and then new beginnings. And so it just brought up for me, well, first I thought I'd share, kind of all the synchronicity and tie-ins there with you guys, because, I love to share all that stuff with you. And it continues to unfold in just like magical ways, and starting to understand how to read those patterns, right? And kind of seeing what the tapestry of events are putting together to tell you. Like, it's sort of like the new art form, I feel like. And so as I share how I am able to piece these things together and extract meaning, and I feel like that helps others to do the same. So I'll always share these stories, and I know you love them just as much as I do. So yeah, but yeah, I wanted to share that, and then of course brought up, okay, well, then what did that bring up for me? It's like, okay, then it got me reflecting on what went wrong with, our relationship. And one of the things that went wrong was, I had seen someone synchronistically posted a quote on intimacy. And I realized when I saw it, yesterday when I was sort of contemplating the ending, or sort of the, a sort of a new turning point. One of us announcing a partnership, kind of like she did. And I'm reflecting on intimacy or reflecting on what went wrong. And I see this quote on intimacy, and it was like, I'll read it for you guys. It's, people think that intimacy is about sex, but intimacy is about truth. When you realize you can tell someone your truth, when you can show yourself to them, when you stand in front of them and their response is, "You're safe with me." That's intimacy. And when I saw that, it really hit home. It made me realize that was a big, from my perspective, probably the number one thing that led to our demise, right? There was early on where, from my perspective, opening up about things, certain things in my life or certain feelings that I have or certain, ideas I had as far as our sexual relationship, as far as just very intimate things that I didn't feel were I got the response, "You're safe with me. It's okay." Actually, the opposite, sort of like, "Oh, you're like weird," or "Something's wrong with you," or any of those things. And I think that sort of things happens a lot in relationships where we don't fully align with what the other person's maybe sexual turn on is, or what it is that they envision or want. And it doesn't mean you need to change for them, but any of you out there, I wanted to share this because it really hit home. Like, I know a lot of you out there probably have relationships where you don't fully align with everything about your partner, what their vision is or what they feel or what they want. And I'm not saying to change for them, but to go to them and make sure that they feel safe with whatever it is that's different than you, right? And like I said, from reflecting back on this old relationship as a new cycle, begins with the eclipse and all the things that led up to it, it just something. And I ended up sharing it with her. I was like, as I reflect, and I've seen you've announced your new relationship, I hope nothing but the best for you guys. And reflecting on what went wrong with us, I shared that quote with her, and I said, I hope with your new partner, you really achieve true intimacy in I love, you can spell it INTOMESEE, into me. See, right? And I hope you achieve true intimacy with your new partner so that it can be the most that it could possibly be. Because the sad thing about it, for me with her is, like, because of that, I sort of shut down early on energetically, and then it turned into a lot of her like sort of pining for my love and attention, and me sort of like, like the dog that doesn't want to be pet sometimes, like, I don't know, I'm just like not feeling it, not really wanting to give you the love that you're really craving. And so, if any of you out there who are having that sort of an experience, and of course that ends up ultimately, killing the relationship like it did with us, just really maybe reanalyzing anything that happened or anything with your partner where if you reflect on it, have they shared anything that's intimate with you that you maybe made them feel like something's wrong with them or bad about, and they've never talked about it since, right? That is like cutting off intimacy. So I would recommend, and it doesn't mean you need to bend to whatever it is, or anything, but just accepting who they are fully and really trying to understand and allow them to feel really safe with you. I think that's so important. I think there's a lot of that with sexual repression and people feeling like, people have all kinds of different ideas or turn-ons when it comes to sex. And when, I think it's easy for people to then think like, oh, if it doesn't align with me, like something's wrong with you. I saw a quote not too long ago where it said, I wish everyone could just come out with everything that is really gone on in their head and what they really think and feel at the deepest, most intimate level. And everyone could do it and it'd be exposed at once. And then we'd realize, oh, everyone's a freak, so no one's a freak. And we could go on with our lives. There's just so much repression. And intimacy is all about like removing that repression, right? And allowing your partner to feel safe. So yeah, I obviously that wanted to come through today at this time in eternity that we float. For those of you out there, I hope it serves you. I hope the lessons that I've learned in regards to this, help your relationship, and maybe with some of you it will bring some healing that will help to save it, right? So I was actually looking at Abraham also. I wanted to see, what does Abraham have to say about relationships? And I saw one titled "How to Let Go of Past Relationships," and it kind of even went into a whole tangent. I mean, it's related, but it wasn't exactly what I expected to hear, but it was really, really great. And so I want to share that now. And this is, once again, Abraham-Hicks, How to Let Go of Past Relationships. Let's take a listen.
And now where I am is deconstructing emotions. When you have contact with other people and you almost empath with them. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I'm going to try. So it used to be almost paralyzing. If I have contact with somebody and they're suffering, it feels like I had to suffer with them.
Yes, because in that situation, their vibration is the dominant one, and you move to where they are, and therefore sacrifice your connection in order to have empathy with them. Yes.
So, I think it's the last section, or the second to the last session we had. You touched on that, and it kind of lit up all kinds of awareness in me, because it's exactly what I am working on. I'd like to say.
But we have something that we want to ask you, all of you really. Okay. What is so difficult about making all others, comparatively speaking, irrelevant? In other words, and what it often takes is enough exposure to your absolute lack of control when you make them relevant before you finally decide that you're going to make something else relevant. In other words, you have heard us say, we know, that you can't stop thinking about something, because when you say you're not going to think about that thing that you're thinking about that thing that you aren't going to think about. In other words, you can't, so you have to think about something else. So in the same light, to make something irrelevant, what do you have to do? You have to make something else more relevant. So, is it really as difficult as we are all seeming to make it out to be, to make your emotions? We don't want you to deconstruct your emotions. We want you to make your emotions of paramount importance. And when you reach that place that nothing matters more than how you feel, then you are able to get things again and again and again in proper perspective. We're not asking any of you to figure this out today. We're just asking you to care enough about how you feel that when that conversation turns negative, you do something about it, either by walking away from it, or by changing the subject, or by changing the thought. And most of you are more committed to your politeness, or you're more committed to your obligations, or you're more committed to being there. You're more committed to almost everything. You've made almost everything more relevant than your alignment with Source, you see. So we get why it's a little bit of a struggle to make that alignment with Source not just relevant, but all relevant, all powerful, you see. Give us an example of what you're talking about.
I have two examples. One example is that I almost feel as sometimes people want to invite themselves inside my vortex. I don't know if that makes sense.
Well, no one has access to your vortex but you.
Right.
In other words, give us an example of what you mean by that, rather than speaking in the...
I come across somebody, and for some reason they're obviously very attracted to me, not in a loving way, but in some emotional connection. And
so when someone's attracted to me, that means there's something active in me that law of attraction has put us together. Mm-hmm. So if it feels good to me, then it's a good thing, and if it doesn't feel good to me, then what does that mean? I've got something active that's attractive, unwanted. Yes?
But what if they're, for better use, for better words, clingy?
So you think that they've come to you by no attraction power of your own?
That's why I'm sitting here. I'm obviously.
Well, we really want
a big part of this.
We really want
That's the empathy.
We really want you to consider when someone comes into your experience, it's because something was active. Now let's go back to what we were talking about before. Okay. So let's say that you've been lonely. We're just going to build an example here. Let's say you've been lonely, and so you go to a place where you can meet people. So that's as much clarification as you've done in your vibration. So you walk into this place with this not very clarified vibration, a sort of vibration going all over the place. I just want someone, anyone to talk with. So that's your vibration. So you walk into a place, and here are a whole lot of people. Do you think that you are a vibrational match to all of them?
No.
Do you think that in your lack of precision that you are a vibrational match to quite a few of them?
Yes.
So law of attraction through the path of least resistance, because law of attraction knows what your active points are, not your active and wanted points, your active points. In other words, this is the thing that we really want to clarify. Law of attraction isn't saying, let's match her up with this aspect of this one and this aspect of this one and this aspect of this one because she wants it. Law of attraction is saying, let's match her up with this and this and this and this because it's active within her. So let's say you weren't very discriminating, you had active vibrations going on, law of attraction matched you up. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is in the actual physical rendezvous, you realize that you had a vibration that was active that you didn't mean to be active. So now you're having a physical rendezvous that is not pleasing to you. So now what happens? What happens when you know what you don't want? You launch a clarifying rocket of what you do want. So let's say this has been going on for a while. Let's say this has been going on for a long, long while. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, let's say that you have a vortex that is so clarified, so purified, so specified, because you've been rendezvousing and rendezvousing and rendezvousing. You've been knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want, knowing what you don't want, knowing what you do want. You have built this really magnificent escrow that is full of the precision of what you want. So let's say you walk into a room and someone not a vibrational match to what you've put into the vortex comes to you. What does that, and clings to you? What does that mean? That means you've got an active vibration going that doesn't match your own vortex. Because law of attraction isn't saying, let's give this relationship or let's give this situation to her because it's in her vortex. Law of attraction is saying, this is what matches what she's got going on right now. So that's why we come to you with this new turn of phrase that says, let's deconstruct thought. Let's stop for a little while talking with so much specifics about what you want or what you don't want, because that apparently seems to be keeping unwanted things active within a lot of you. In other words, the more you try to clarify what you want, the more you keep active the vibration of what you don't want. You don't mean to do it, but you do.
Okay.
As you recall, even some of the conversations that you've been having as you've been moving about with one another, aren't you aware that in talking about what you do want, you're often talking about what you don't want? And it seems like a good idea because you're just clarifying, but you're keeping active quite a bit of what you really don't want to keep active. So when we talk about deconstructing thought, so let's go right to the heart of this situation. So are you telling us that you don't want anything to do with this clinging person? Just answer yes or no, as best you can.
Yes.
Are you saying that you don't want anything to do with any person?
No.
So you're by deconstructing the thought, if you get really specific, you're saying, universe, I want relationships, I just don't want that relationship.
That's, yeah.
Right, stay with us for a minute.
Yes.
So, universe, I want relationships, I just don't want that relationship.
Yes.
Universe, I want relationships, I just don't want that relationship. Universe, I want relationships. I just don't want that relationship. What do you think's dominant in your vibration?
That relationship.
That relationship. So now let's deconstruct the thought a little bit. What do I like in relationships? How do I like to feel in a relationship? So now you're stepping back from the specifics of that. I like to feel, give us some feeling words, some emotional words. Some sort of thought deconstructed words. Not the kinds of things you want to do and the kinds of things you want to say. But what does the kind of relationship that you're looking for, what does it feel like?
Is smooth.
Smooth. So smooth. Let's stay there for smooth's a good word. Smooth meaning law of attraction arranged it. So it's on target. It doesn't take a lot of effort.
No,
There's a lot of powerful source energy behind it that has lined it up. So smooth, really good word. Now, can you feel how smooth is a sort of deconstructing of thought? Is it? In other words, it's more about how it feels. Let's talk more about what smooth feels like. What's smooth? Smooth means easy. Smooth means calm. Smooth means nice. Smooth means satisfying. Smooth. So you can add all of those words.
Fulfilled.
Fulfilled means a sort of coming together. It means an adding to. It means a synchronicity. It means an alignment. It means law of attraction has accurately aligned energy. But now we're really talking generally, but it feels pretty good, doesn't it?
Very.
And in the process, you've deactivated all of the don't want that.
Okay, I get it.
None of the what you don't want is active in your vibration at all.
I get it.
So then the next thing to be aware of is you wouldn't have got to the smooth word if that hadn't shown up and given you trouble. So now you can feel appreciation for that. Appreciation for the clarification, appreciation for the opportunity to examine, appreciation. It's fun to interact, it's fun to choose, it's fun to make decisions, it's fun to mold the clay, it's fun to evolve, it's fun to choose, it's fun to have possibilities, it's fun to be out there, it's fun to tune to who I am, it's fun to watch law of attraction give me evidence of what I've tuned to, it's fun to see how I'm doing, it's fun to be consciously aware, it's fun to be creative, it's fun to be deliberate, it's fun to feel on purpose, it's fun to offer vibration, it's fun to know what I want. It's fun to feel good in a relationship. It feels good to be whole. It feels good to be smooth. It feels good to have a smooth conversation. It feels good to interact with others. It feels good to be in a relationship. It feels good to choose relationship. It feels good to bring about relationship. It feels good to construct relationships. Feels good to construct relationships. It feels good to construct relationships from the inside out. So I'm starting with what I do want, how I do want to feel, rather than trying to deconstruct it from what I don't want. Did you follow that?
Yes.
So what just happened? I lived something that was full-blown and manifested and in my face that I didn't like. And I tried to deconstruct it by pointing it out, and all I did was make it more, add to it, get more of it, until it felt like it was dogging me and clinging to me. I couldn't shake myself loose from it because I was a vibrational match to it. So then I began to deconstruct the thought by no longer talking about that and talking instead of less specific, came upon an emotional conversation, found a word, stayed on the word a little while, sniffed out the word, became vibrationally active with the word until I deactivate. Now, by deconstructing the thought, we don't mean that you make that person cease to be. We mean you break your connection with that person. By deconstructing thought, a better way of saying it is, I'm deconstructing the avenues through which law of attraction has given that experience relationship to me.
Right.
It's like I've broken the circuit. I've broken the circuit. Law of attraction's out there doing its thing, and there are plenty of people that relationship wouldn't feel clingy to. There are plenty of people that's the relationship that they're ready for, or maybe even asking for. It's just not the one you're looking for. And so when you get in the very specific place of defining what's right or wrong about people, or what's right or wrong about their characteristics, all you do is hold yourself in the construction of more of those relationships that you don't want, as you shore up all of those vibrational connections and make the universe, give the universe the opportunity to bring you more and more and more of what you do not want. Really good. Really good.
All right, there's a lot of good nuggets in here. One, talking about empaths at the beginning. The depressed person's vibration being the dominant one. And so someone who's empathic is sacrificing their connection to have empathy and sort of take the ride with a person like that. I bet you there's a lot of you out there who heard that and said, oh, that's what's happening. Like they're I'm taking the ride with their dominant vibration. And so being very aware, if you're empathic, okay, managing my own vibration as I go into this public setting, perhaps, or where I'm going to be around this family member or friend who, tends to take me on a ride I don't want to go on, right? And there's even things that you can do, like, guided sort of visualizations. You could hear some of them on YouTube, for example, guided ones, or just doing a visualization where you do a protective white light around your gold light, or there's techniques like that are permission slips, if you will, to guard your own energy. And I think that's just a great tidbit there for a lot of you. I loved how she put it. It's such a clever way to think about it. She said, make something irrelevant that you don't want more of by making something else more relevant, right? Make something irrelevant. And how do you do that? By making something else more relevant. And so any of you that are pining for a past relationship or a change, or, not whatever it is that, you are making the most relevant is becoming your dominant vibration, right? She also said, there's like all these good ones in here, not being committed to your politeness. I had this conversation with my good friend and longtime P-head, Coco Kircher, who was on the show a while back as well. And I was with her this weekend, and we were talking about not being committed to your politeness. Like when something comes up, something's not quite sitting right with you, like really, don't go on the attack, but bring it to light so that it can be processed. And a lot of times our conversation with that was a lot of times you run from any type of uncomfortable conversation or conflict. We let people do things. In this case, we were referring to someone doing something that, was kind of not very cool. And it was like, well, instead of just letting it slide, why not bring it to the attention of that person? And let's work through it, right? So that it can sort of shine a light, and that's not always comfortable from from our standpoint. A lot of times we're avoiding conflict at all costs, but being committed to your politeness doesn't necessarily help your growth or the people you're interacting with. And it's back to this old thing that a lot of people struggle with. When someone comes into or something comes into your experience, something was active in you. And I love how she said, law of attraction doesn't give you your active and wanted points. It gives you your active points. So you may want something, right? And that's in your vortex, sort of your vibrational escrow of my wish list of things that when they're active in me, then they'll come through. But it's kind of like you put it there and then it's like, okay, now it needs to be active in your vibration for it to actually manifest, right? More than just thinking of it for 5 seconds that's what you want. So what law of attraction is always giving you is not your active and wanted points, but it's just giving you your active points of vibration in any given moment. And I love how she kind of, beat the drum of the example, with this woman that was speaking. I want relationships. I just don't want that relationship. And emphasis on, I don't want that relationship. I want relationships. I don't want that relationship. Well, what are you giving a lot of energy to, right? And this idea of deconstructing thoughts, it's going with something that's more of a feeling, like smooth. She used the word smooth. And in now telling the story about that, right? You can now learn to appreciate that actually brought you clarification. And hey, it's fun to choose. This is a fun process. I don't need to get upset about what that is or isn't, this thing you didn't want. It actually just brought you clarification. And wow, that's a fun process. I get to choose. It feels good to construct relationships from within this way. So powerful, she said, by deconstructing thought, I'm deconstructing the avenues from which law of attraction has given an experience to me. It's like you broke the circus. The circuit. You broke the circus. Dun, 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 dun. It is kind of a circus, right? You're juggling here, right? You're juggling, like sifting and shifting these perspectives. It is the circus, and you are the chief clown. And keep it light and keep it silly, and don't take it so seriously. It's fun to choose, right? Break the circus. Break the circuit. Celebrate in the circus. Break the circuits that you don't want anymore. Deconstruct them. Don't focus on what's wrong about anyone. Instead, use it as a jumping off point. That's really the thing. Use it as a jumping off point to say, yes, this is it. This is the thing that I'm choosing. Thank you for that thing that I'm not choosing. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and more, please. Yes, and more, please. This is fun. And this is Thea. The song, Yes, and More, Please. Love you all so much. We'll see you next time. Also, before we cue up today's song, I wanted to let you all know that we have finally created the Game with the Universe on our website, where you can choose the first number that comes to your mind, and it'll pull up that episode number of the podcast. I've been saying this is a great way to co-create synchronicity and magic with your higher self for quite some time by doing this manually. But now if you go to positivehead.com/YO universe, there is a super fun and simple interface to play this game with your higher self. I firmly believe just by setting the intention to play in this way, it opens up the door for magic, and it's a synchronistic way to hone in on nuggets of wisdom out of the huge catalog of episodes that are specifically appropriate for you at this time in your journey to becoming the next greatest and grandest version of yourself. And it also makes for a super fun way to engage and invite friends, family, people on social media to check out the podcast as well. So be sure to check out positivehead.com/YOUNIVERSE, and be sure to tell all your friends so they can play a game with the universe, which also helps the show to reach new people, which I greatly appreciate. And as a quick reminder, be sure to also check out positivehead.com/transformation if you're curious to learn more about Purium superfoods and why I take them every day. On this journey of becoming the next greatest and grandest version of ourselves that we have all embarked upon, I can't stress the importance of managing your physical vibration enough. And quite honestly, Purium has put together the simplest plan I've found to do so, and I'm sincerely excited to share it with all of you. Lastly, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
I am ready to receive all the love that's given me, knowing I am worthy, yes, and more, please. I am ready to release all the fear, anxiety, trusting I am held in the light by divinity. I am ready to receive all the love that's given me, 'cause I know that I am worthy, yes, and more please. I am ready to release all the fear, anxiety, and I trust that I am held in the light by divinity. So done with playing small, knowing I am made of stars, and that I am the love that I'm looking for, knowing that my heart is my home. In this dream reality, I surrender to thee. Everything's reflected like a mirror back to me, and I'm so done with playing small. Oh, 'cause I know that I am made of stars, and that I am the love that I'm looking for, knowing that my heart is my home, and I'm so done with playing small. Oh, 'cause I know that I am made of stars,